Hello, welcome to our channel. Before we get started, I'd like to ask a question. How old are you and which city are you watching this video from right now? I really enjoy getting to know the people on the other side of the screen and understanding more about the audience that follows our content daily. Oh, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because that's how you support our work and help us keep bringing quality content to you. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that, although it may seem simple at first glance, has caused a lot of confusion and even frustration for thousands of people. The mistakes you should never make when taking creatine. Maybe you've been using creatine for a while, or you're thinking about starting now, so it's essential to pay attention to every detail in this video to avoid wasting time and money. This supplement, so popular and widely used by those looking to increase muscle mass, physical strength, and improve exercise performance, can be a true ally, but only when used the right way. And here's the big secret that few people talk about. What might seem like a small and insignificant detail, such as the exact amount or the right time to take it, could actually be the key factor that's keeping you from achieving the results you're hoping for. So I ask you to stay with me until the end, because there's one specific mistake, often made by people of all ages, including experienced athletes, that may seem right at first, but can actually delay all your progress by months or even years. And that's exactly why you can't afford to miss a single second of this video we've prepared just for you. Let's get straight to the point, because I know you want quick and clear answers. Using the wrong dose of creatine is one of the most common mistakes, and unfortunately also one of the most harmful you can make. I know it's tempting to think, if one dose is good for me, then 2 or 3 must boost my results even more, right? Wrong. Creatine doesn't work that way, and a lot of people end up learning that the hard way. The truth is that our body has a specific limit for storing creatine in the muscles, and exceeding that limit doesn't speed up your progress at all. On the contrary, excessive doses of the substance can cause quite uncomfortable effects like abdominal bloating, a constant feeling of fullness, intestinal pain, and digestive discomforts that could easily be avoided. Additionally, taking a much higher dose than recommended might just be a waste of money, since the excess will be naturally eliminated by your body, literally going down the drain. But the other extreme is also dangerous. Doses that are too low may not reach the level needed to cause significant changes in your body. You might even be taking the supplement regularly, but with the wrong dose, you'll hardly see any difference in the mirror or feel more strength during your workouts. That's why getting the ideal amount right is essential. To make things easier for you, most protocols suggest starting with an initial saturation phase. You may have heard of this before, but let's break it down so you clearly understand. During this initial phase, the standard recommendation is to take about 20 grams of creatine per day, divided into 4 5-gram doses for about a week. This allows your muscles to become saturated quickly, speeding up the appearance of the supplement's positive effects. After that week, you enter the maintenance phase, where the doses range between 3 to 5 grams per day. And pay attention, this is the average dose recommended for most people, but it's important to understand that every body reacts differently. Larger individuals with more muscle mass or a faster metabolism might need slightly more. On the other hand, smaller individuals or those with a less intense routine might need a bit less. The best solution is always to consult a nutritionist to personalize the ideal dose based on your weight, daily routine, and the intensity level of your workouts. And speaking of individual responses, another very common mistake that many people completely overlook is forgetting the importance of hydration. And here's a detail that can totally change your results. Creatine works by pulling water into the muscle cells. That's exactly why many people notice a quick improvement in the appearance of their muscles, making them look fuller and more defined. But do you know what happens if you don't drink enough water while using creatine? The entire process is compromised, and you lose a big part of the muscle gain potential the supplement could offer. If your body isn't properly hydrated, in addition to the loss of creatine efficiency, you might start experiencing other unwanted effects, such as excessive fatigue, constant headaches, dizziness during workouts, and in more extreme cases, even a higher risk of kidney overload, especially for those who already have a predisposition to kidney problems. That's why if you're supplementing with creatine, you can't overlook hydration. A simple recommendation for beginners is to drink between 2 to 3 liters of water per day. Of course, this amount can vary a lot depending on your body weight, the temperature where you live. On hot days, you'll need even more water, and the intensity of your daily workouts. It may sound like a simple tip, but believe me, drinking enough water is just as important as taking the supplement. supplement correctly. Now, another big misconception is believing there's a magical and exact time to take creatine. Many people get completely confused trying to pick the perfect time, but here's a secret many still don't know. Unlike supplements like caffeine or BCAA, where timing really matters, with creatine the most important thing is daily consistency. Yes, you heard that right. It doesn't make much of a difference whether you take creatine before or after your workout, in the morning or at night. Creatine works by gradually building up in the muscles over time. What really matters is that you take the supplement every day without missing a day, so your body maintains constant and saturated levels of the substance. So if you've forgotten to take creatine several times or tend to skip some days, pay close attention to this point. That can seriously delay your results. My golden tip here is very simple and practical. Make creatine intake as automatic and daily as brushing your teeth or taking a shower. Build the habit, because consistency is the secret that few people value, but it delivers extraordinary results in the long run. And since we're on this topic, let's quickly open a parenthesis to talk a bit more about the famous saturation phase I mentioned earlier. Many people choose to skip this step because they think it's just an unimportant detail, but the truth is the saturation phase can make all the difference if you want faster and more visible results. By taking larger doses of creatine during the first few days, you significantly speed up the muscle saturation process, which drastically reduces the time needed to start feeling stronger, more resistant, and gaining muscle. This technique is especially useful if you're just starting out or are in a period of intense training where you need faster results. Of course, if you decide not to do the saturation phase, you'll still get benefits, but they'll take longer to show up. The decision to do this phase or not really depends on your personal goals and how urgent it is for you to see visible results. Now, let's talk about another serious and very common mistake that prevents many people from seeing real results with creatine use: lack of consistency in training. As surprising as it may seem, this mistake happens more often than you'd think. Many people believe that just because they're taking creatine, they'll automatically see guaranteed results, even if they only train occasionally or without any structured plan. But pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Creatine is a supplement that works especially well for short, intense exercises with specific intervals, like weight training, CrossFit, powerlifting, and even high-intensity interval training. It helps you lift heavier weights, increases your endurance during tough sets, and speeds up muscle recovery between workouts. But if you're not training regularly, in other words, if you only go to the gym when you have time or when you feel like it, I'm sorry to say, but you won't get the real benefits of creatine. Think of it like investing money in an expensive piece of equipment that you rarely use. You might have bought something great, but if it just sits in the closet collecting dust, you'll never see the results you expected. So to truly benefit from the power of creatine, it's essential to create a consistent and structured workout routine. A practical suggestion that works really well is to set fixed and scheduled times for your workouts, making a commitment to yourself. Think of it like a work meeting you simply can't skip. You'll notice that the more disciplined you are, the faster you'll see results, especially when taking creatine regularly. Now that we understand how important it is to train consistently, we reach a key point that many people completely overlook: proper nutrition. I know you've probably heard this a bunch of times, but let me explain why it's so crucial, especially when we're talking about creatine. The most common mistake is thinking that by taking creatine, you can slack off on your diet and keep eating highly processed foods, sugars, trans fats, sodas, and excessive alcohol. But the truth is, no supplement replaces a balanced diet. On the contrary, supplements like creatine can only reach their full potential when you give your body the right nutrients to build muscle, generate energy, and speed up recovery. To truly get the most out of the supplement, your diet needs to include high-quality proteins like eggs, lean meats, fish, chicken, tofu, or whey protein, complex carbs, sweet potatoes, oats, brown rice, quinoa, healthy fats, avocado, extra virgin olive oil, nuts, and seeds, plus fruits, vegetables, and fresh greens. All of this will provide the essential vitamins and minerals your body needs to absorb and use creatine efficiently. So if you're using creatine, take good care of your diet and avoid highly processed foods, frequent fried meals, or quick low-quality meals as much as possible. This doesn't mean you need to follow an extremely restrictive diet, but rather aim for balance, variety, and quality in your daily meals. This small effort will make a huge difference in your final results, speeding up your progress toward the body you truly want. Now, let's address a slightly more specific mistake that many people end up making after using creatine for a while: suddenly stopping the supplement without any planning or professional professional guidance. This mistake may seem harmless, but it can bring negative effects that you really don't want to deal with. Let me explain it better. When you use creatine regularly over a long period, your muscles adapt to having a higher store of the substance available to quickly generate strength and energy. If you suddenly stop using it all at once without gradually reducing the dose, you may experience a noticeable drop in performance, a loss of the strength you gained, and even a greater sense of fatigue and muscle tiredness during workouts. To avoid that, the ideal approach is to slowly reduce the dosage over a few weeks, allowing your body to readjust to its natural creatine levels. If you're planning to take a break or stop the supplement altogether, seek guidance from a nutritionist or healthcare professional. This precaution will help you preserve the results you've worked so hard to achieve and avoid any unnecessary discomfort. Now, let's move on to another mistake that deserves special attention because of how much it impacts your results: not properly adjusting your creatine dose according to your individual needs. Here's an important detail that often goes unnoticed. Every person has a unique metabolism, different body composition, and their own lifestyle. What works perfectly for your friend or a famous athlete online might not work the same way for you. For example, people with more muscle mass or a faster metabolism usually need slightly higher doses to reach ideal saturation. On the other hand, lighter individuals, those with a slower metabolism or who are less active, can get excellent results with smaller doses. A common mistake is to copy someone else's protocol exactly without considering your own personal characteristics, which can result in fewer results or even discomfort. My recommendation is simple: start with the standard doses and observe how your body responds over a few weeks. If you're feeling good, gaining visible strength, and have more energy during workouts, that's great. But if not, don't hesitate to consult a specialized nutritionist to make personalized adjustments based on your weight, body composition, and lifestyle. That small detail might be exactly what's missing to finally unlock the results you've always wanted. And now we've reached the last point, but definitely not the least important one: not caring about the quality of the creatine you buy. Yes, this is extremely serious. Unfortunately, there are many options on the market, and not all of them have the quality you deserve. Did you know that some creatines being sold out there have low purity or are mixed with other substances that can significantly reduce your results? That's why you should always choose monohydrated creatine, the most researched, safe, and proven effective form on the market. Prefer well-known brands that offer quality seals, certifications from independent labs, and a good reputation among athletes and sports nutrition experts. Never choose a supplement based on the lowest price without researching its origin. Investing in quality is investing directly in your results and in your health. After all, there's no point in following all the tips I've given you so far and failing exactly when it comes to the supplement's quality. So stay alert, read labels carefully, and if necessary, get professional help when choosing the best brands on the market. So are you starting to see how every point we've covered so far is completely connected to your success or failure with creatine supplementation? Now that we've covered all the most common mistakes that can harm or limit your progress with creatine, it's time to dive deeper into how to make sure you're on the right path, avoiding these mistakes and getting the best possible results. So let's go even further into some key aspects that deserve special attention. First, I want to emphasize even more the importance of proper water intake and hydration. I've mentioned it before, but now I want to go into more detail about why this factor is so crucial and what the real consequences are if you ignore it. Creatine, as you already know, works by drawing water into your muscle cells. This not only improves muscle volume, but also helps transport essential nutrients for muscle recovery and growth. However, many people neglect this point and end up dealing with issues like cramps, early fatigue, and even digestive problems that could easily be resolved simply by increasing water intake. But maybe you're thinking, how do I know exactly how much water I should drink? A simple and effective method is to check the color of your urine. It may sound basic, but it works really well. Your urine should always be clear or light yellow. If it's dark, that's a clear sign you urgently need to increase your fluid intake. Another practical method that works especially well is to carry a water bottle with you throughout the day and set reminders on your phone to hydrate regularly. It may sound like overkill, but trust me, people who do this get much better results when supplementing with creatine and rarely deal with side effects like headaches or gastrointestinal discomfort. Now, another point that deserves a deeper look is creatine timing. I mentioned earlier that there isn't necessarily a magical time to take creatine, but it's worth adding that some specific strategies can further optimize your results. For example, recent studies have suggested that although timing isn't that critical, taking creatine right after your workout may slightly improve absorption due to increased blood flow to the muscles during that period. In other words, after exercise, your muscles are hungry for nutrients, making this a particularly favorable moment to ensure creatine is quickly absorbed and utilized. On the other hand, if you prefer to take it in the morning or with a meal, there's absolutely no problem. The most important thing is to choose a time that you can stick to every day with complete consistency, because that makes more of a difference in the long run than small timing variations. And speaking of daily routine, one detail that can make a big difference is how you combine creatine with other supplements or foods. One of the most effective combinations is to mix creatine with a simple carbohydrate, like natural fruit juice or even a bit of honey, since simple carbs quickly raise insulin levels, helping the muscle absorb creatine more easily and improving muscle saturation. Another crucial point that many people completely ignore is the role of quality sleep in creatine supplementation. Yes, sleep. Creatine doesn't act directly while you sleep, but quality sleep is when your body actually builds muscle, repairs muscle fibers, and optimizes all the recovery that creatine helps stimulate during the day. Sleeping less than 7 hours a night on a regular basis can drastically reduce your muscle recovery ability, canceling out many of the benefits creatine could provide. So when using creatine, take special care with your rest. Some practical tips include: try to go to bed at the same time every night, avoid screens and stimulating activities before sleeping, and create a calm, comfortable environment for rest. This will allow your body to make the most of every gram of creatine you consume daily. Now let's quickly go back to the saturation phase, because there's a common question about it. If I skipped the saturation phase when I started taking creatine, can I do it now? The answer is yes, if you didn't do it at first, but now you need to speed up your results because of a competition, special event, or simply to give yourself a quick boost. You can start a saturation phase at any point during supplementation. Just follow the standard protocol for about a week, and then go back to the regular daily maintenance dose. Another less obvious, but extremely important mistake is improper creatine storage. Yes, many people store creatine in unsuitable places, which can lead to the supplement degrading. Creatine is sensitive to moisture and excessive heat. Ideally, keep the container tightly closed, stored in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight. Also, avoid leaving a damp or wet scoop inside the container. Small details like these ensure your supplement stays pure, effective, and safe until the end. Let's also go over the importance of patience and having realistic expectations when it comes to creatine results. Many people start taking creatine expecting visible changes within the first few days, and get frustrated when that doesn't happen right away. Remember, creatine isn't magic. It works extremely well, but it requires consistency and patience. Usually, the first noticeable effects appear between 2 to 4 weeks of continuous use. So give your body time and don't get discouraged if you don't see changes in the first week. Finally, it's worth remembering how important it is not to blindly trust the results you see in other people on social media or at the gym. Every body is unique, and comparing your progress to others can lead to unnecessary frustration. Focus only on yourself, your routine, your personal progress week after week. Adjust your dosage, diet, and training based on your own results, not on expectations set by others. With all these extra details, you've probably realized by now that taking creatine the right way requires knowledge, attention to small details, and steady discipline. By following the detailed recommendations I've shared, you can be confident that you're on the right path to achieving real, consistent, and long-lasting results with creatine use.